Hey, Jesse Suggs.
Welcome back, Jen Barkin.
Woo! I am back and I just had to go get some coffee because I am still in Las Vegas mode. I am back
Hmm.
from a whirlwind Dead and Company tour at the Sphere. Holy cow, Jesse.
That has to be amazing.
It, you
No.
know, I really wasn't a Grateful Dead fan up until I guess it was about 4 years ago during COVID. I would work out in the yard and my
Mhm.
husband would just play Grateful Dead all day while I was like working in the yard. And I became a fan. And so we decided, we were like, you know what? Might be the last time they're going to tour together. Who knows? And we went and saw them at the Sphere. And there's like no word. I can't even tell you how amazing it was, but it almost felt like a ride.
Yeah, I'm so jealous. One, I know a bunch of people that have done it, but two, you're like, a fan by exposure, and so am I. Like pre even
Yeah.
being born, my dad followed the Grateful Dead and went on tour with them. And so when you told me you were going, I was like, pack me in your suitcase, please.
Well, you guys need to go. I think they're coming back for 2 weeks in August. I think you need to make it happen.
Hey, my birthday's in August. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying. Yeah. What's new with you?
What's new with me? Nothing really other than, I was just talking with our special guest about, mishaps on the road. And my husband bought, you would think it was the most amazing truck in the entire world. So he wanted a work truck. So he bought a 97 two-door GMC Sonoma, that green, hunter green color, fishbowl, everything's glass.
You
Are you
had me at
getting it?
97
Okay.
because,
Okay. Yeah. I know a smart car could beat
I
it.
mean, okay.
Seriously. He loves it. He bought it from an old man. He was the first owner, only owner, and he couldn't drive anymore. So he sold it. He has 70,000 miles on it. So Chase was like, I have an hour drive each way, every day to work. And he has loved it. I mean, he's tinted it. He's gotten it ceramic coated. He's done all the things, replaced all the lights, mirrors. And someone hit it in the parking lot the other day
Oh,
and
frig.
left.
Oh,
So, of course, it's totaled because it's not worth very much. And then I started thinking about like what's valuable to people, and to
mhm.
anybody else who hit it and left is like, oh, that's just a
That's
97.
a beater.
Yeah. And to him, he was like devastated. So this week we've been
Oh,
kind of finding ways to piece it back together and put it back on the
oh,
road because he loves that thing. So that's what's new with us. But we have a new project now. So I'm going to learn a little bit about cars, I think. We'll
man.
see. Might not even
Speak,
drive.
poor Chase. I'm sorry. Chase, if you're listening, I'm sorry that happened to you.
I know.
And if my husband's listening, haha, he's not because he doesn't listen to our podcast, Jesse.
That's a shame.
What the heck? So I can just talk all about him and he'll never know.
No.
So our court date is tomorrow for our ticket that we got for not getting over. I think I talked about that on a couple episodes ago.
Uh-huh.
So wish us luck, everybody. We are headed to court.
Yeah. As a reminder, don't
Yeah.
stay in the right lane.
Get
Go around.
over if you see any emergency vehicle pulled over off to the side. Okay.
Hilarious.
Let's do this thing. All right. Episode 20. Jesse, can you believe that? 20.
Oh, yeah.
Man,
I mean,
it's
I
been
can.
fun.
It's been a
It's
lot of
been
content.
fun. You know what really makes me happy is when we get these just random emails that are like, "Oh my gosh, I listened to the podcast and love it. Oh, I had my team listen to this and write a book report about." I mean,
Yeah.
ah, that was so cool. So, man, keep listening, guys. Like, subscribe, give us feedback. We actually have a new email. You can email us at onlinesales@doyouconvert.com and it'll go to all of us coaches here
Ooh la
at Do
la.
You Convert, online sales at doyouconvert.com. If you have any questions, if you have any suggestions for topics that you want Jesse and I to discuss on the podcast, we are open to them. Um, Also, just a couple of other updates while we're talking about cool things at DYC. Jesse, we are hiring for another coach to join us. What are your thoughts?
Well, if I told all my thoughts, everybody would cry. But I will leave it at, it's just somebody who's looking for the next step in their career,
Mm-hmm.
who has a passion for all things online sales, who want to help others. And it is a tremendous opportunity. So if you're thinking
Mm,
about it, just,
yeah. If you
try it
want to
out.
come hang out, if you want to come hang out with
I think we're fine.
Jesse, Amanda, and I mean, yeah, like we're funny. We like to have fun. We like to have a good time. We work really hard. So if that sounds like you, if you are passionate about the online sales position and you're passionate about helping other people succeed in this role, and you subscribe to the deconvert philosophies, like you get it, like you really understand it, apply, right? Let's have a conversation about it. Okay, what are some other updates? We've got Online Sales Academy coming
Yes.
up. When are we thinking for the next one?
Well, I think we're thinking November, the week of the 13th. Still
Yes.
kind of
We were
figuring
originally
what's
had
out
it
there.
planned we were originally thinking the week of the 5th, but then we were like, ooh, that's election week.
Yep.
And people might feel some sort of kind of way. Who knows? I don't know, good or bad. But we just want everybody to be so focused on the academy. We said, let's just wait a week, let the dust settle. So the week of November 13th, head over to our website. You can sign up on the interest list. We'll be opening registration soon for that. It will be virtual. Um, we do like to keep those small though, small and intimate. So don't wait to sign up once we open that registration. And who should attend the academy, Jesse, if you're wondering?
Anybody who's new in the seat, anybody who's never had any formal training, or even somebody who just maybe feels like they're going through the motions or they've lost kind of the key fundamentals and want to refresh.
Yes. Love it. Exactly. Okay. Speaking of the academy, our guest today was actually one of our academy graduates a couple of years ago, right?
Yes.
Who do we have joining us today, Jesse?
Today we have Julia Holloman with Door
Hey,
Homes of the Carolinas.
Julia.
Hello.
Welcome to
Hi.
Online People Talking.
Hello. I'm excited to be here. Thank you.
What year was that you graduated from the academy?
I want to say 2022. That sounds
Yeah,
correct.
I think it was 2 years ago.
Yeah,
I
we
think
got to
so
hang
too.
out
We were in
in Dallas.
Dallas.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we were.
we were at
Yeah.
Gillies.
We did some line
Mm-hmm.
dancing.
Oh
We
my
went to a
gosh.
Oh
concert.
yeah.
We did
Oh
We
line
snuck
yeah. We
dance.
went
into
to
a
a concert. It
concert,
was.
I think.
I don't know. We were invited. I don't think it counts as sneaking in, but we'll say it for our cred that we
We
did.
got ticket. We got backstage. No, we didn't get backstage passes. That's a little
We
much.
were
We
up
did
on the
get
stage.
tickets.
We were crowd surfing. It was crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
We did do line dancing though.
In the heat.
Yes. In the heat. Yes.
It was yeah
In the middle of the
on a
Texas.
roof.
It was so
No,
fun.
on the deck
We
thing. It was so
sometimes we
hot.
have good ideas and sometimes our ideas are not so good. But today was a good idea, having Julia on. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Julia. So Jesse already said you're working for Red Door Homes,
Mhm.
online sales extraordinaire. Uh, Tell us a little bit about who Julia is.
Yeah, so I've been in the seat pretty much as long. I started with the academy in 2022 as I was like coming into the seat. And I was local to North Carolina until about 2 weeks ago when I moved to Philadelphia. That's where I am now. Very
Oh,
exciting.
wow.
Really loving it here. It is still hot. People keep asking me or saying like, "Oh my gosh, it's gonna be so much nicer and cooler there." No, it's not. It's very hot and it's all pavement, but otherwise very nice. Yeah, I don't know a whole lot else to say about myself. I have two dogs. Jen, I know you're a dog person. I also have a cat for the cat people out there. They are not sleeping in here right now because I didn't want them to make any noise, but they usually are sleeping behind me. And
Well, you're in good company. You love online sales, you love dogs and cats. Really, you're right. What else is there to say?
Exactly.
What are online people talking about? Today we're talking about on your lot. On your lot online sales. We have some builders who are only do on your lot. We have some builders who do production and also have on your lot divisions. They kind of do both. And there are some differences between, being an online sales specialist for on your lot versus an online sales specialist for a production style builder. And so we thought, let's bring Julia on. Let's talk about some of those differences. Let's talk about some unique some unique skill sets that you need to have, like, as an on your lot, OSC. But for those of you that maybe are like, what are they talking about on your lot? Let's start kind of at the beginning. Julia, what is on your lot?
Yeah, so exactly what it sounds like. So we build on our customers' land, but that can be a little bit confusing because like people do ask us, do I have to come to you with land?
Okay.
I won't go super into that right now, but build on our customers' land pretty much anywhere within our build area. So that's how it's a little bit different. And yeah, we pretty much take care of everything from start to finish here. Yeah, on your lot. There's not a whole
Yeah.
a whole lot to that one.
But what you're saying is, you can build anywhere, like anywhere that Red Door Homes builds, right? So it's not
Yes.
in a specific neighborhood. It can be anywhere, that somebody has land or that they're going to buy land in that particular area.
Yeah, so we have 4 offices. For us, we have 4 offices in the Carolinas, and we build about a 50 to 60 or so mile radius outside of each of those. So anywhere within those radiuses, we can build.
Okay, very cool. Jesse, what do you see as kind of some of the differences, as far as online sales and on your lot world versus production world?
I'm glad you asked this because it made me go back into the archives of my brain, because when I myself was in the seat, we had an on your lot division. So not only from the coaching perspective have I seen the differences in communication, I've also seen the similarities. So when you think about on your lot, some of the things that are the same are just the fundamentals: speed of response, personalization, friendliness, eagerness, next steps, all of those things. But some of the differences do add a layer of complexity. I mean, it takes the online sales kind of to another level. And so you have to talk all about the land prep and the foundation type and the financing piece. It's not just, hey, go reach out to this lender. We have these different types of loans that you may have to consider, depending if you own your land or if you're financing your land. And so it's taking what we do in online sales world and going even deeper.
Yeah. So that's a good point. Julia, anything to add to that? Do you agree with what Jesse's saying? And like, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it really is. It is a much different world. You have to get pretty creative sometimes. You do have to take it a step further because, people have lots of questions. Most people not only have never built a home, a lot of the people we work with have never purchased a home before. And a lot of people don't know what goes into either building on their own land, or if they don't have land yet, that's of course the first step. How do I even go about that part? That it definitely takes a lot of creativity for sure.
Yeah. And I think, I know the OSCs that I've had time to get to know in this role, you're doing a whole lot of educating, right? You're doing, because to your point, there's so much that goes into like if you're buying a production home, like all of that's taken care of for you, right? You're getting the home and the home site, and it's the one package deal, right? And the builder it's all of that. The development work has already been done, right? Whereas if you have, grandma's land, right, that was, that was left to you, right? And you're having to get it developed or start from scratch. There's so much that goes into that. So what would you say when people are calling in? What is like the common questions, or like what do you need to know, generally speaking, to be prepared to talk about this?
Yeah. So, I mean, of course, a lot of the things that we talk about are going to be similar to what production builders talk about. How long does it take to build? How do I qualify? Although that's a much bigger question in the on your lot world. People just want to know where to start. I mean, probably one of like the number one questions that I see people ask. It's not even anything super super specific. Just where do I even start? What's my first step? And a lot of what we're doing, kind of circling back to, there's a lot of educating. Not only do we have to educate a lot, but we also have to educate in a way that people aren't going to go, whoa, that sounds like way too much. Like, we don't want to overwhelm
Right.
people. And that's kind of the difficult part of, I think, on your lot, is especially if people don't have land, or maybe they've got big things going on in their life right now, or, there's a million different circumstances. Just giving them that information and making sure that they feel educated when they're walking in, but also not just throwing so much at them that they're like, I can't do this. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I think
That's a good
too,
point.
being in online sales in any, capacity, part of your job is helping the customer figure out what their questions even are. And of
Mhm,
course, more so in on your lot, because they don't know what they don't know. And so as you're
mhm.
educating them, or as you're asking qualifying questions, they start to go, oh yeah, I
Yeah.
didn't know much about that. And I do want to know more about
Mhm.
that. So you guys do a great job at that.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely figuring out what questions to ask to lead them to those points of, checking the boxes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one thing I wrote down that I think is important that you said is you're educating to help them understand, not to overwhelm them, like,
Mhm,
because that can be, we talk a lot about like being careful of info dumping on, in a phone conversation, like, okay, got a live one, let me tell you everything there is to know about on your lot, and what the development is like, and how much this is going to cost, and what you do. And as a customer, if that was me on the other end, I would be like, oh my gosh, like what? Okay, this sounds too complicated. I'll call you back if
Yes. Yeah,
like I
exactly.
could see
I'll
Let
go
me
down the
digest
road
that.
and yeah.
yeah. So that kind of, so definitely educating, but finding that balance between, you don't want to info dump. You don't want to just read like, okay, let me tell you everything that's on my checklist that I got to make sure versus listening and asking questions and getting to that place where you're not overwhelming them. So having said that, what do you think is, one of the most important skills that an on your lot OSC should really hone in on and work on?
Um, a lot of it's knowing how to pivot, because like you the call path is incredibly important. Of course, you have to get that information, but also you see so many situations. Of course, production builders, people who are building in a neighborhood, they see a lot of situations as well. But we see so much. I've talked to people whose homes burned down, who they're
Mm,
looking to rebuild on that same property. Maybe they want something very similar to what was on that property previously. Maybe, you know, their grandmother just passed and she left them this land. And so now they're dealing with this complicated situation. Maybe I've had that situation where there's now difficulties that they're dealing with getting the actual property in their name.
mm,
And then, of course, on the other side, I don't have land, but here's my situation. How can you help me accomplish these things? So there's just, you
yeah,
have to know when to pivot, how to pivot. And there are so many directions that you can pivot in this world that it's just, you have
yeah.
to be ready to just move.
Do you think like, that real time phone, those real time phone skills is probably something that you really focus on then? Because, like on email, right? You have time to think about that
Hmm.
or formulate like what you're going to say. But when you've got that person live, interacting with them.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say so. Just knowing how to like almost like take back control of the conversation sometimes, because it can get to be a lot, and be
Mhm.
like, okay, let me see how I can help you in this situation.
Yeah.
And, you know, yeah, just how I can be most helpful here, what answers I can get you, or what answers, are going to be best
Mhm.
for our on-site team to have. And that's also a big thing, is there's a lot of information that is best for on-site to have, and knowing how to be like, I
Yeah.
understand that this is a big situation right now, but let's talk to our on-site, and they'll be able to, get you these next steps.
Yeah. The typical qualifiers that we think about as online sales specialists, right, are, time frame, area, what are they looking for, authority, who's involved, budget, those are kind of the basics, and those are the same, right, for on your
Hmm.
lot. What are the variations? What additional things that you use to qualify for the appointment, or additional questions that you think are important to be asking?
Yeah. So, one of the first questions that I ask a lot is, excuse me, is, have you had the opportunity to browse around our website? Did anything stand out to you? Did you get any questions from that? And, a lot of times people will say, well, yeah, I really like this plan, but insert whatever their but is there.
Yeah.
Um, but also sometimes I'll get, I didn't really see anything that I liked. This is kind of what I'm looking for. And that kind of opens up that door for
Mhm.
me to say, oh, okay, well, did you know that, we are building from scratch, from the ground up? We have tons of customization options. Anything that's not structural about the home, we can pretty much change. So, with that in mind, what about these floor plans, or what were you looking for that you didn't see on the website? And let's see what boxes we can check with one of
Mhm.
these floor plans, and then what is able to be changed to make sure that it does check those boxes. Because again, it is, you're building from scratch, from the ground up. We're not changing, wall colors and countertops. We're
Yeah.
changing, okay, I want to have access to my infant's room from my room, but I also don't want to keep their crib in my room. Or my mother is moving in with us because she's getting older. So I want to make sure she still feels like she has independence. Okay, let's see how we can make that happen. And also, let me show you examples of how other people have handled this, because we built so many homes, and
Mm.
because we have seen practically every situation. There is a very high likelihood that we can say, hey, somebody else, we dealt with this exact situation or a very similar one. Here's how we solved it.
What I think's neat is you're figuring out the story. Like
Yeah.
I always call it curated custom when you're not a full custom builder, where like you're bringing your blueprints and saying, hey, build me this. I got it drafted up by an architect. So you have this curated custom approach where you can say, hey, tell me your story. And then I'm going to help you figure out what the next steps are. Because in Build on Your Lot world, there are so many variables buzzing around, more than what we're used to. And so I was thinking back to your question before, Jim, when you said what like skills, or what is something that makes an online sales specialist successful in On Your Lot, is being, and I have to say this like in the right way, but being appropriately assertive, meaning taking control of the conversation enough to say, hey, here is the best next step for you based on what we talked about. Because there are lots of reasons to press the eject button or press the not now button in On Your Lot. So asking all of those right questions will help make the customer trust you and go, okay, yeah, that does sound good. Thanks, Julia. I'd love to come out and explore a little bit more.
Well, I just got really excited because there's a lesson here that we can all learn. Production can learn from On Your Lot here, in that your job as an online sales specialist in a lot of cases is to paint that picture of visually that customer living in a home.
Mhm.
So production online sales specialists who you don't have a model, maybe you're doing pre-sales, you don't have that product for them necessarily to go look at right now. That's the same that Julia's, in On Your Lot world, right? You don't necessarily have like we're building all these different types of homes, but maybe you don't have one that somebody could go walk through. So you're having, as the online sales specialist, you're having to create that visual and walk them through what it would look like to build this home on grandma and grandpa's land and have them visually see that. So that's a powerful thing that, as online sales specialists, we have to be able to do. And I know a lot of people struggle with that because it's easy to say, yeah, come on out to our model home and you can walk through that and take a tour. If you don't have that, right? So Julia, how do you guys, because I'm sure you get people that go, can I see that? How do you handle that when you don't necessarily have something for them to see, like physically?
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely a thing that we run into quite a bit. It takes a little bit of imagination. It takes a little bit of, again, creativity. We have some things, we try to do a few times a year. We'll do what we call our Dusty and Muddy Boots tours, where sometimes our homeowners will be kind enough to open up their homes and allow us to have people come and tour them, which is a great opportunity when we do have it. But again, that's a couple of times a year. We're not doing that very often. Um, but what we typically say on our end is, hey, coming in for that tour, we have a model or models. Some of our offices have one, some have two. And maybe that home is not quite the one that you're looking for. I know that maybe that one's not going to check all of your boxes. You're looking for something bigger,
Mhm.
smaller, ranch style, whatever. But it's going to show you some examples of your included features, your customization options. One's going to show you, what you're going to get in that base pricing for the home, so you can get a feel for the quality and the finishes. And then the other is going to show you the customization options. So, for example, in our model home centers that have two, one's fully base, one's fully customized. And I always say, of course, that's going to be, most people end up somewhere in a happy middle there. Most people are probably going to go for, okay, most of my home is probably going to be the base features
Mhm.
because those are the things that I want to put my money towards. However, a few features are really, really important to me. For example, if you have a lot of dogs, maybe you want your floors to be super, super sturdy. You don't want your dogs nicking up your floors with their claws. Okay, let's go for the higher level flooring. Maybe you've said, I just really want a nice master bathroom. I have a shower in my place right now. My tub is
Mhm.
tiny. I need to soak at the end of the day. Okay, everything else is base features, but let's make this bathroom really, really nice. Let's get you a garden tub, all of the features, deck it out. We're not telling you you have to spend all of this money for this package just because this is the one that has the nice master bathroom that you want in it.
Mhm.
We're saying, okay, let's spend your money where you want to spend your money. Let's spend it over here and just fit it to exactly what you want. And that kind of helps people understand. And then also, just kind of going back to figure out what their story is and why they're saying, I need to walk through the space. Do they need to feel what the size is like? Do they
Yeah.
need to, you know, there's a lot of reasons people could want that, but
Yeah.
there's also a lot of solutions to those reasons. So just figuring out what those reasons are.
Yeah, one thing you said I think is really important for everybody to hear is that, your job as an online sales specialist is to get them excited about the possibility of
Hmm.
building a home or buying a home or home ownership in general. And, if you have somebody that's like, well, but I want to see this particular home, like, hey, just come out and see how we even build here at Red Door Homes. See, you can see the quality and craftsmanship of how we build. We can go over those options and different things while we're together and get all of those questions answered. Same thing goes with, production is like, we're not maybe building that house right now in this community. Maybe it's a future phase, but hey, you can come out and see what we do have available so that when we do have those, you'll be able to make an informed decision at that time because you'll have seen how we build. I think that's just a general concept, to keep in mind. Um, Speaking of coming out to the model home, one of the big differences that Jesse and I see across the board with Build on Your Lot is that on your lot customers are not typically walking in. You don't have a lot of walk-ins, right, Jesse, to a model home or a design center.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So talk, Jesse, a little bit. How does that change the metrics or the benchmarks for like contributions and things like that?
Yeah, that's a great point. When you think about the buyer journey, and on your lot, they have really one option, and that's finding their interest, whether they're driving by a sign and they go on your website and look at more information, or they inquire direct on the website. But either way, everything is funneling in for the most part through the online sales division. Of course,
Yeah.
there's those variations of realtor relationships and, those events that you're hosting and things like that. But what we're seeing in the conversion metrics that's different than production is there is actually a lower conversion from lead to appointment because a
Mhm.
lot more people are just in their looky phase, right? They're
Yeah.
just poking around and they're inquiring. And sometimes customers, they don't know that that's them asking for the next step. They don't know where it goes. They're just submitting it and hoping they're going to get something more than what they have on the website, which of course they will when they connect with people like you. Um, so in addition to the lower lead to appointment conversion, there's also a lower appointment to sale conversion. And a lot of people go, well, whoa, why is that? If they're getting less appointments in there, wouldn't it be higher? And it's because this is a blended average of what you would see in production world of walk-in conversions plus online conversions. Because we know walk-in conversions are lower. And so we're taking both of those and we're blending them together. And that byproduct naturally leads to a higher overall company contribution. So while it's lower than the industry average at the top of the funnel, the bottom is significantly higher than what we're seeing in production world because, like we said, everything funnels right through.
Right. So we're seeing, on average for production, around 45 to 50% contribution. For on your lot, it's closer to like 70, right, Jesse?
70,
70 to
75.
75% contribution. And that again is because everything's funneling through online sales. So it changes. Julia, would you agree?
Yeah, that's about where we sit, I believe, last I checked.
Yeah. So a couple of other things and then we'll move on. One, everything's funneling through. It's a longer buying cycle, right? It's
Absolutely.
longer conversations, more education, longer time to get through the appointment and sale process. So, in some cases, an online sales specialist, should manage less leads. So if you're looking at staffing, having an OSC that's built on your lot, a lower lead volume, again, because they're having to do more nurturing, they're having to do more follow-up. Their phone conversations, instead of being 7 minutes or 12 to 15 minutes longer, right? So I would say, in the case of Red Door, you guys you staff up, right, versus staff down to provide that stellar customer experience. And I know you guys are really big on that. So talk a little bit about how that's important.
Yeah, absolutely. Our team is great. I love our online team. They're wonderful. We are also, it's also very nice because we all kind of cover each other's backs as well. So, if one person is in the middle of something and something else comes in, because of course that longer nurture, you're having multiple conversations with people on a pretty regular basis. You're doing a lot more of that prospecting, you're just doing a lot more of a lot of the different things. Having, sort of everybody on the same team in a literal and that sense is very, very helpful.
So when you were super busy, when you were understaffed, right? And then that puts pressure on you to provide that extra nurturing time that is important to Red Door.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
And for context, we have four four people on our team, whereas
Yeah.
I don't know what the standard is for
Yeah.
other non on your lot, but yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I want to go back and talk real quick about something and then we're definitely moving on. We were talking about unique skill sets that an on your lot online sales specialist, right? And I just want to say, I know that you aced your phone shop. So your manager shopped you, right? Everybody gets shopped. That's no surprise. And on your phone shop, you just killed it. What's the secret? How did you how did you do so good?
Um, honestly, the the shops definitely give us a lot to work with, first of all, so I'm thankful for that. Yeah, that's a big element. You know, they're usually pretty fantastic leads coming in already. Just, you know, following where the conversation takes you, making sure that you're checking all the boxes. I'm very much a list person. I I just moved, so I don't have them right now. They're still in one of these boxes somewhere. Um, I usually have my qualifiers up behind my desk here, and then, you know, a bunch of information on my wall where you can't see it here. Very, very helpful to have. Even, you know, in the time I've been doing this, I pretty much have those memorized at this point, but just being able to look up and be like, oh, this is the thing that I missed in the middle of this conversation where I learned all of
Yeah.
these things. um, just building that rapport, and I, you know, checking the list off. We, of course, you know, have that process built right into
Mhm.
our CRM. Following that process, as simple as it sounds, I know that these are like the simplest answers in the world, but it really
No.
is just
Yeah.
uh, do the process. That's all I can say. Be genuine with people and just build that rapport, build that relationship, and that's pretty much that's all you got to do. It again sounds super simple, and it kind of is, but that's just the answer.
It is simple. What do you think about that, Jesse?
I laugh about it because it is true. It's if you
Yeah.
just follow the process and you do it from a place
Mhm.
of wanting to help, everything else happens organically. Like they're not coming to you to get you to sell them the idea of buying a home with them. They're coming to you because they like what they saw, they like your prices, they have questions, and they need actionable next steps. And if you approach a conversation and focus on what is in your control, and what is in your control doesn't always have to be a tell me all of these things so that I can help you. It's that
Right.
rapport building, casual conversation where one thing organically leads to the other. And that comes from like it's one of those things you can't teach, just like the desire to want to help and to support. And that's why online sales specialists are so good at this, in between where they get to support and guide, but not sell. And so you have to have that soft approach like Julia has. Like if you listen to her call, you can tell that she truly had the desire to help them. She wasn't asking questions to check the box and to get them to say, okay, sure, I'll come in. It was, let me educate you. Let me help you. Let's figure this out. Okay, now that we've become besties, let's go to that next step in your process. And that's how you ace the shop. I
Mm,
think it's as simple as that.
mm. Well, what I just again what I want to take away from this too is your job as an online sales specialist is to educate, to understand, not to overwhelm. And I think that's just a good reminder for us and educate through your questions and the things that you're talking about and trying to be that resource, I think is so important. What's a tool that you can't live without in your role?
Um, as far as like physical things, I mean, I kind of already talked about them a little bit. I typically have my reference sheets like right in front of me. They're right there. I cannot
Okay.
avoid looking at them. It is so essential. Not only do I have, you know, my questions, I also typically have, you know, just a quick reminder sheet of build areas because our build areas are so large, just making sure that I'm
Yeah.
not having to look up those things. And occasionally they do change. So just making sure those are up to date. Um, Random little thing. This, I have my phone stand. It is amazing. It
Oh,
came for free with my phone case, and I was like, wait a minute, this is perfect. But I have my phone standing up in the corner, and it's out of the corner of my eye. All of my emails ding directly to it. It like lights it up, makes a sound. When I get a lead come in, it like catches my attention immediately. So helpful. Those are like the, I guess,
phone
physical
stand
tools.
and hot sheets. You
It's,
heard it here.
yes, again, so simple, so
Yeah,
straightforward. It feels goofy, but like
no, it's
it's
great. It's great. Julia, can you stay on and help us with our skills check?
sure.
Because you got to check yourself before you, Jesse,
Wreck yourself.
wreck yourself. Right. So this week for our skills check, you got to listen to your calls. Okay. So we heard it here. Jesse and I have talked about this a couple times on Opt. We just did a whole thing on the call path and how to ask for the appointment. How do you know if you're hitting all the things you need to do? If you were to get shopped right now, would you pass? How do you know? Right? Come up with a criteria that you can listen to your calls again. So we're going to give you some criteria to check. What's the first thing, Jesse, that you need to check yourself on?
How you're answering the phone. I
Yeah,
mean,
you're
it sounds
greeting.
silly, but people go, hello, is this a robot?
Yeah.
That's when you got to check yourself, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you're greeting, like how you're opening the conversation. Are you asking for the name right at the beginning? The second thing is, determine what your areas of qualification are. So like for on your lot, you've got some additional things that you need to be asking other than time frame, area, motivation, wants, needs, authority, right? You've got, do you have land? Do you not have land? Right? Like, what's your current situation? Are you okay with a build time of 12? Like, what's your average build time, Julia, currently?
For us right now, it is 9 to 11 months.
Okay. So it's like, are you okay with, up to an 11-month build time? Is that going to work? Like, you've got to have those conversations. So, and also, I mean, qualification, those are kind of the basics, but again, check with your leadership about what qualification areas, they want you to be determining, and make yourself a checklist. Okay, Jesse, what's the next thing?
Yeah, I think that's a good point about the areas of qualification that your leadership and your sales team are looking for,
Yeah.
because you want your sales team to value what you're sending them. And if you're constantly missing
Yeah.
something that they would like to be able to prepare with, that's just open communication and conversation that can help. The third thing, of course, is just, did I ask for the appointment? I mean, we're in a market where the previous market, everybody was asking us, hey, I want to come in. Hey, can I pay you for your next appointment? And long gone are those days, but sometimes long gone are those skills too of asking. So did you ask for the appointment? And did you have to kind of pivot and
Mm.
overcome any objection that's been given to you?
Julia, are you getting a lot of objections right now in this market? Are you getting more pushback like when you go for the appointment?
Sometimes, yeah, getting a lot of just looking. We're
Yeah.
a lot of just looking. So definitely, I just had this conversation, maybe an hour or two ago with my team, because it seems like it's ramped up in the past couple of weeks. But
Mhm.
and like in a way that's a little bit harder to overcome. I don't know. People are, I think, a little bit more hesitant to engage right now. Is think probably the phrasing that I would use. Asking them questions sometimes doesn't. Of course, a lot of times asking questions does get them to open up a little bit more. But I don't know. Recently, people have been a little bit more difficult to engage. So just kind of working those muscles is
Yeah.
important.
Perfect the pivot. And then the last thing is just making sure that you're setting the expectation for what's going to happen next. So if you are able to get that appointment, letting them know, okay, this is what's going to happen. You're going to be meeting with Jesse. This is going to take about an hour. I will be sending you a email confirmation, yada, yada. Or if you don't get the appointment, there's still always a next step. right? Like, so if the appointment's not happening, say, okay, I'll be checking back in with you tomorrow. I will be following up. Can I get your contact information to check back in with you periodically? There should be something, right? Always a next step. So write down your list of criteria, listen to a call, and see what you're hitting and what you're not. Sound
You
good?
know, Jen, I was thinking,
Yeah.
one, I'll call myself out. We like to do that sometimes. I don't know. Maybe I'll roast myself, but everybody goes back, they listen to their call, they hate the way they sound, whatever. We got to get over that. But you also sometimes go, ooh, that call wasn't so bad. That one felt pretty good. And then you listen to it a couple of days later and you're like, yikes, I missed those earlier. You're like, get the ick from yourself. You're like, ugh, why did I say it like that? So being able to be like truly reflective on what you're doing and put yourself in the consumer seat. Like, did that seem like they truly cared? Were they a real person, or did they have this front up to try to sell to me?
Yeah.
And then one criteria that's on most every single shop that we kind of like look past because we count it as obvious is just being friendly. And there's been times where
Yeah.
people miss points for that. And so
Mhm.
you have to be truly reflective on listening back and saying, was I friendly? Was I helpful? Because you can do a lot of things wrong, but if you're friendly, you can win a lot too.
Yeah. You have really one chance to make a great first impression. And it starts with you guys in online sales. So it's a big responsibility for sure. Julia, thank you so much for joining us today to talk all things on your lot. Any final words of wisdom you have for our listeners?
Just, be friendly, follow the process, have good conversations with people. People want to talk to people who they like. That's it. Just be likable, be friendly, be helpful, and the rest will follow.
Love it. Great advice. Be likable and friendly. Starts there. Love it. Okay, last question for you, Julia. Are you down with OPT?
Oh, you know me.
Love it. Okay, we'll see you next time. Thanks, Jesse.
Thank you. Bye.